It all starts with who you are. And I don't just mean who you are as an individual, but who you are as a collective. Whatever that collective might be, whether it's your team, your organization, your movement, it all starts with and goes back to who you are as that collective, with who you all believe that you are. And if you have a problem right now, which a lot of groups, a lot of teams, a lot of mission-based organizations have, which is sometimes getting stuck or not achieving your goals, or that being a thing that happens consistently. If you're not able to create, to build, and to innovate in a way that's sustainable and in a way that you hope for, then I bet you 9 out of 10 times, it's because you've lost touch with an aspect of who you are, your narrative identity. It's become foggy or out of alignment or completely lost. And it's making everything else virtually impossible or ridiculously slow. So what do? How do you get out of this stuckness that's a result of problems connected to who you are, problems connected to your narrative identity? Well, that's what I'm going to show you today so that you can create and have the lasting impact that your organization, that your team wants.
Hey, Creating Maven. I'm Joy Spencer, your reframe specialist, with one important message. Your real work, it's not your job or your career. Your real work is what you create. And what you create is what sets you apart and makes you incomparable. It's your legacy. I'm here to show you a whole new way of working so you can create with your gifts, make a unique contribution, and finally get paid to be yourself. This is Reframe to Create.
I'd been listening to them for about an hour at this point, and I knew exactly where they were headed. To Spinsville. You know the place. That town that's one over from Circleville, where you go round and round in circles to come back to square one, even more confused than you were when you first left. And the conversation had actually started out really promising, with clear metrics about where their numbers stood and where they were hoping to move things in a couple of years. Then it started, like clockwork, the digging down into the weeds to flesh out the strategy, maybe? I don't know what was going on. Then all the many threads and the whatabouts and also this and yada, 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 and all of that. And then the conversation just ended with a fizzle, with everyone kind of clear. They'd gone back and forth about statements about what was and what wasn't, but it ended without a clear sense of anything. And I wasn't surprised. I've seen this more times than I can count. In fact, I've lived on the inside of teams where this was going on as well. A conversation revs up to get going, to, get down to the plan, to make decisions, to build the thing, create the thing, to innovate, and finally get to there. But it ends with a lot of hot air, a lot of spin, and little to no forward momentum. I remember being in a room where 2 different team members shared 2 diametrically opposed views of who the team was, and therefore what it was meant to do. Half the room nodded yes when one team member spoke, and then the other half nodded when the other team member spoke. And I thought, oh boy, I know where they're headed. Spinsville. This might sound familiar to you. You've been there. You've been somewhere where you were excited and over the moon when you first joined the team, the organization, or the movement, and you believed in the mission. You still believe, right? Whatever it is that you all have set out to do, you believe in it. You believe in the work and you want to get on with the work. You want to get on and about it. You want to create and build the beautiful thing together that's going to have an impact that you guys say that you want to have, to do the thing that's going to last. But on a day-to-day basis, it's Spinsville. It's churn. It's mud in the wheels. It's why can't we get anywhere? And it's frustrating, isn't it? It can feel like the problem is that you're not doing enough. You're not grinding enough. You're not trying hard enough. So what to do, right? If you're like many of my clients, you reach for that goal setting session. You reach for that vision setting session. Maybe you start looking closely at your people, the people in the room, and wonder, is it a skills thing? Are we lacking in what it takes us that je ne sais quoi, that brain power to achieve this goal. And we just got to get some new skills in the room. Maybe, switch out some people or reskill the ones that we got. Do we need to find a better strategy building framework or something to really get us a better and clearer strategy? Is that where we need to dig in so that we can finally create the powerful things and experiences that we just know we can, and we are here to create it? Is that it? As tempting as it may be to think that it is, because there are lots of experts out there who will want and encourage you to think this, I'm going to say no. And I'm not saying no because I'm super smart and more advanced than anyone else. I'm saying no because I've made the same mistake for so long, for myself and for my clients. In fact, I've made it repeatedly, even though my brand is called Reframe to Create, with the reframe in front of the create. Right. For years, my focus has been really heavy on the create side of things. Like, let's get to it. Let's create. Let's figure out how to do it. Let's get an idea of what it is that we want to create and then go for it. Let's have a bias for action. Let's breeze past the reframe as a pit stop on the way to where we really want to go, which is to create. After all, we can do the reframe thing really quickly and then get to the creating thing, right? Can't we? Wrong. I was wrong. So wrong. It's not that you need a better strategy, better goal setting, better talent, better partners, better skills, clearer communication, or a clearer vision about what you want to create. Those are very important things, but they're not the things that are broken or the things that are keeping you stuck in Spinsville. It's who you are and who you believe that you can become. And get this very important point. It's how aligned, bought in, and connected everyone on your team is to that sense of narrative identity, that sense of who you are. How aligned and how bought in is everybody to that narrative identity? How unified are you guys on that? Because that's the source. Who you are is the wellspring from which everything is flowing or not flowing. It's the source of your function or dysfunction. It's the thing that when it gets foggy and gunked up, it has all the downstream impacts that you're seeing right now. But why? Why, you ask? Why would it be this and not anything else? Because you can only go as far as who you are, and everything you create and do comes from who you are and who you believe you can become. That's true for you as an individual. It's true for teams. It's true for organizations, movements, and even countries. Everything comes from who we are, our narrative identity. I'll show you from your own life. Picture this. You walk into a room and you see an open bag with someone's wallet sticking out of it. There's nobody in sight. What do? Do you pluck it out of the bag and put it into your bag? Do you try to find the owner? Do you leave it where it was? What do you do? And why are you doing what you're doing? There's nobody in the room. There are no cameras. Nobody saw you go in, and nobody will see you when you leave. Why do you do what you do or don't do? I'll tell you why. It's because of who you are. It's because of who you believe you are. It's because of the stories you've told or been told about who you are and what you believe about life and people's things in this scenario. It's because of the values you hold and what you value. It's all those things which make up your narrative identity, and they frame what you do or don't do. Now think about this. What if you didn't just walk into that room by yourself, but you walked in with a group of people who were your people, your team, your crew, your folks who you all have a vibe, right? Or at least you think you do. Now, what if someone in your group, upon seeing the bag, stretches out their hand, picks out the wallet, and puts it in their bag? What? You feel a way, right? Like you're about to say something, not just because of the act, but because of what it says about you, about y'all, about your crew, about all of you. Hey, what are you doing there? We don't do that. That's not who we are. Can you hear yourself saying something like that? Have you ever caught yourself saying something like that? That sense of we that automatically rises up, and that identity you must defend in addition to standing for what you believe. Who you believe your group is determines what you can or can't do, what you will and won't allow. And if that person had said, well, no, that's exactly who we are, and this is what we do, a fight might have broken out in the room as the narrative identity of the group was called into question, and everyone would jump in to pick sides, negotiate, or renegotiate it, right? I bet you that wallet would be going in and out of the bag, and there would be some sort of madness happening in the room as this sort of team group or this identity sort of like started to fragment, and this debate would ensue, right? The results of the action that came out of this group would be fragmented. But let's say it was a slightly different scenario and everyone in the group agreed, oh yeah, finders keepers, right? That would be an open and shut case because everyone would be like, yeah, wallet spotted, wallet pocketed, no discussion, no dissension. We are all agreed, right? The group's narrative identity would be intact. This is who we are. This is what we do. This is what we believe about the world. This is what's up. So no discussion here. The group's sense of who they were would be the same and united. There wouldn't be any sort of fragmenting happening. And I want you to pick up on this. I'm not making a judgment, right? I'm not saying it's not about how good or bad the idea or the plan is. We get stuck in that, like plans and strategies and all that. It's not about that. It's about how unified around the narrative identity are the people who are executing the plan. How together are they about like, hey, this is us, this is who we are, this is what's up. And this informs, therefore, what we find to believe to be important, and therefore, whatever the plan is. And you know from history that people have banded together to do some awful things. And people have come together to try to do some great things, and they can't seem to get it straight or make it to the finish line. And so what's going on there in those scenarios? If you look beneath the hood, you'll find the same thing. Unity or disunity around a narrative identity. Unity or disunity around this is who we are. Not only are these the stories that define us, but we agree about what these stories mean. We share their values. We value this and not that, right? Values, shared values are always more powerful than shared interests. That core sense of this is who we are is more powerful than this is what we want to do. Right? And I'm just going to band together with some people who have similar interests. If you band together with people who you have similar interests with, but you guys don't share some core important values, that thing, that group, that team, that thing's going to fragment. I've had that experience many times personally where I've been excited to join a group or a crew of people who on the surface, we were interested in doing the same things. Like, oh yeah, let's do this thing together. Let's build this thing together. Wouldn't it be so great if we could do this thing together? And we come together and over time, things start to break down and fragment. And then we find out, yeah, we have the same interests, but we don't really share the same values. Our worldview, our sense of who we are, our sense of integrity or not is very different. And so despite the fact that we may have superficial similar interests, our core, our values, our sense of narrative identity about who we are is not the same. Who you are as a collective, who you believe that you are, those values that you share is everything. And where there is a breakdown and fragmenting happening at that level, you're going to see it upstream, downstream, or whatever, right? It informs everything about not just what we do, but about how we do it and how much momentum and energy is behind it. It's true for political parties. It's true for sports teams. It's true for any type of space where people are coming together to do something. If they don't have a united narrative identity that the people who are a part of it are aligned on and deeply connected to, those folks aren't going anywhere. And they're not achieving anything together anytime soon. When there's a big gaping hole in your narrative identity, it will leak out all your creating power. Note, I'm not saying that when a narrative identity is missing, it leaks out your creating power. I'm saying when there's a hole in it or a misalignment around it, because you always have a narrative identity. Every person and every group always has one. All teams have one. All organizations have one. Every country has one. Wherever there are people, there are narratives, and wherever people are gathered together to join to do something, there is a narrative identity about who they are that they're forming together. But here is where the rubber meets the road. The narrative identity can get fractured and fragmented. People can fall out of alignment with it. It never disappears, but it can get wonky, and that wonkiness is not neutral. It can leak out poisonous dysfunction into the system. And this is probably what you're experiencing right now on your team, and you don't even know it if you find yourself in Spinsville. So what to do? What's the solution? Is it to just create a new narrative, right? A new narrative identity, whatever that is? No, not so fast. As I said, you're never without a narrative. There is always something there. Your team is not a blank slate. Hans Hansen and I talked about this very thing way back in episodes 59 and 60. So you can't just go blasting into create something new as if there isn't something already existing. There's always existing narratives that are working for or against you. And a lot of them are invisible. That's why your first step is reveal. You first got to make the invisible visible. You've got to unearth the narratives and counter narratives that are working as the invisible operating system of your team. The thing you are slipping and sliding on, tripping over, or that's getting in the way of or supporting your forward momentum. And once it's revealed, the narrative must get reclaimed. Work must be done to make sense of it all together, the way that David Hutchins showed us to do in episode 120. It's not enough to know the stories about who we are. We have to know what they mean to us together, because that's where the insight and the power lies. And once it's been reclaimed, there is an opportunity to go a step further and reframe it to build the new. To build a new shared narrative identity that will be our fuel, our forward momentum, and our creating power. The thing that we need to sustainably create what we're looking to build. Once this is done, once our narrative identity has been revealed, reclaimed, and reframed, now we are cooking with gas. Now we can do the whole strategy, goal set. Now we can communicate, tweak to our heart's content, knowing that we won't be trying to fill a leaky bucket or collect water with a sieve. No more waste. Now we can have forward momentum and progress. Remember the team I told you about? The one with 2 different team members with 2 competing narratives? Well, they are well on their way to this promised land I'm talking to you about. Why? Because they did this work. They dug in to reveal the hidden narratives that were tripping them up. They reclaimed what they wanted from them and made sense of what they were looking at and reframed a new narrative identity of who they were and who they want to become in the future. Now, they're not perfect. This is not about perfection, but the forward momentum that they have now is like night and day. Everything else they do now is moving faster and smoother. This thing works. I've seen it work, and I know it can work for you and your team too. But you'll only know you need it if you've bumped your head up enough times and spun your wheels enough times trying to make it work at the strategic plan and goal setting level, prioritization, decision making level for long enough without sustainable results that you'll finally be able to see and believe that it's misalignment around who you are. The invisible misalignment around your narrative identity that's working at cross purposes to everything else that you do. It's hard to believe that this is happening, right? Like, it's hard to believe that maybe there are hidden and shadow narrative identities in operation on your team that are creating chaos and dysfunction and misalignment, but it's not uncommon. Narrative identities are living and dynamic, and the fluid flow of people in and out of teams, in and out of organizations can create stability or instability around narrative identities, depending on how much attention you pay to this work and how much alignment and connection there is to it. So don't feel bad. Every single day when you dress to leave your house, you look in the mirror to make sure your hair is straight and your pants are not on backwards. And it's no biggie. That need to keep looking back at your reflection and to keep asking if those things are in alignment. The same goes with the need for narrative identity work. Once you've done the hard work of digging into it after a long period of possibly neglecting it, You can get into the practice of tune-ups and check-ins to stay aligned when you go forward. You never want to completely abandon it, of course, but you can get to a place where you aren't always doing very, very heavy lifting, but instead making sure that things are getting the support that they need to stay healthy. If your team has been experiencing some churn and stuckness in making progress in the ways that you've been trying to innovate and the things that you're trying to create, then stop, drop, and work on your narrative identity. It's time to reveal, reclaim, and reframe so that you can create the legacy that you'll be proud of. If you want to dig further into this idea, then go back and check out episode 31, 59, 60, and 120 to wrap your mind around this idea of revealing, reclaiming, and reframing your narrative identity, your team's narrative identity. But if you're ready now, like really ready because you are tired of dealing with the same issue and you're ready to get your creating power back, then send me an email at joy@reframetocreate.com with the subject narrative identity so that we can start the work to help you and your team reveal, reclaim, and reframe your team's narrative identity. Doing this work will unlock your creating power, will help you get unstuck and stop being in that Spinsville where all of your work around strategy, goal setting, and communications just doesn't seem to go anywhere. It's time to reveal and reclaim your narrative identity so that you can reframe to create. See you soon, Creating Maven, and remember to ask, what will we create?